Join me as you and I you take a journey to become better writers together and geek out.
Well, hello there, Apple Bites. This is your pal, Written Writ Ralph, here from the show Written Writ, which is right here on stage. We're getting ready. I see Naja dropped for a second, and we got her back up.
I'm back.
There we go. If things don't happen, it's not live, which is what we are. Folks, over here you have Tania Ramos, author, writer, TikToker. Next to her you have Naja, who is in charge of Geek Out at Staten Island, which we shall be at this Saturday at Snug Harbor. And of course, on the bottom, you have Mr. Nathan and Fluffschmallow herself, who is actually tabling. Our lovely Fluffschmallow is tabling at
she is table 21.
An age I wish I still were.
Wait, 22. I thought you were 21. You're 22.
Still, an age I wish I still were.
Time just keeps moving forward, people, and I guess that's life. If not, we'd be stuck in one place, and that's just the story waiting to happen. All right, so Tania, why don't we start off with you? Give them the spiel. Let everybody know who you are, what you do, all the good stuff, and go.
I am Tania, recently relocated out to Tennessee. Nursing pays the bills, but I am an author at heart. Been writing since 9th grade, but first officially published in 2011. I tend to write speculative fiction, but I am throwing my my lot in the ring here on an upcoming dystopian fantasy novel.
Ooh. We all love dystopian fantasies, we like to read them, we like to see them, we like to be in them. Well, I don't know about be in them. What made you switch your format?
We're in one right now.
Of course we're in one right now. That's the whole point, right? Tanya, what made you switch your your style, what you're doing?
So it's funny whenever anybody asks what I'm writing, I tell them it's about 3 women with special gifts who are being stalked by an ancient Egyptian entity who has traveled centuries to hunt them down, loosely based on a true story. So the reason I started writing this is, the reason a lot of women start writing something, I was mad at an ex-boyfriend.
It's funny you say that. I got a couple of writer friends that's how they started out.
Yeah, my kids said, you got to kill him in a book. And so 5 years ago, I started killing him in a book. and then I
killing him in a book.
I traipsed across the country, so I took a hiatus in there and got back into it. And that's the goal.
I tell people all the time, don't make writers angry at you because they'll kill you over and over and over and over.
At least 3 times in one book.
Ooh, that's even better.
So I wrote the book. It just started as a revenge story, and it moved. Edit 2 was something different. Edit 3 was something different. By the time I got to edit 5, it was dystopian, apocalyptic, with some nods to steampunk.
Oh, sounds beautiful to me. We like all of those things. So, if you were going to get a more in-depth idea of what the book's about, what would you say without giving it away?
So we've got 3 women who all have special gifts that they, you think gifts are something great, but they're all kind of tormented by their gifts. They find out that they are in love with the same man.
Uh-oh.
And they all decide to plot revenge against him once they find out who he truly is.
Okay, now that's a great tease right there. Who he truly is.
Who he truly is.
As a person who likes to write mischief makers, you got my attention.
Nobody could ever know who somebody truly is.
Well, that's the whole point with life. We think we know people, and then we find out that we didn't know who they were, and now they're somebody else.
Right.
And I gotta admit, like I said, I like writing mischief makers, and mischief makers are always the ones trying to hide who they really are, what they really do, and all the beautiful things that happen because of them.
They're the most fun to write. And sadly, this would be my ex-boyfriend that I'm getting revenge on, and he's probably one of the characters that I love writing the most because he's so horrible. So
Well,
I get away with all the bad stuff with him.
isn't that the thing though? Some of the villains we create, you're like, oh my god, I love him so much, but he's so bad.
Exactly.
And of course, everybody's always like, well, they're redeemable. And some people aren't redeemable, my friend.
Not everybody.
Right.
And some of the good people turn out to be bad people, and the bad people turn out to be good people. But in this story, which will be a series, and that's funny in itself because I don't particularly like series books. I like read it and it's done.
Right.
And here I am writing book 2 while book 1 is in editing, and everybody's characters are changing.
It's funny, and I know, like, one of the reasons. Well, the way I found you was on TikTok, and I know you cover a lot of this on TikTok itself, and it's funny how great of a platform it is to actually get these little writing smidgets out there for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole thing with us and writing and listening to voices and characters taking over and things just happening because everybody thinks that you just sit down and you write and that's it. That's the myth.
That's not how it happens. Yes,
Never.
I think I put out a whole TikTok today about being a pantster, and I don't have a story to tell. The voices in my head have a story to tell, and I'm just like, I'm the medium for them. I don't know where it's going. I'm as surprised as everybody else.
It's funny. I saw that whole thing, and I do bullet points, but they're more for me to understand what's going on than for me to actually write the story.
Yeah, no.
Because I put the bullet points there. They look lovely, and like I know when I do my TikToks and I'm showing people the bullet points, I'm just waiting for the question of. But Ralph, I feel like half the time you don't go in the direction the bullet points are telling you to go. No, because there's times where there's a voice in your head going, I'm going to do this and this and this and this, and I'm going to mess up your bullet points.
Exactly. Yes, I tried outlining this last chapter. It took an hour to do it, and I lost it, I believe, 3 paragraphs in. So I won't try that again.
I'll do bullet points. I won't do outlining. I know better than that.
I have a general idea.
Like, this is what's supposed to happen.
Yeah. They pull the rug out from under me every single time.
I think one of my favorite ones that you did was like when a character from another book tries to hijack another book or tries to weasel their way into another book.
Mm-hmm.
Or a whole other story.
Yeah, you get the voice in your head and you're like, no, your time has not come yet. Your book is on the shelf.
Dude, I just love the whole idea. Like, as I went through your TikToks, each one hit me in a different way. And of course, there's the one where the character disappears from one book, and you're like, okay, I guess I'm never gonna see that character again. And then they go, I'm still here.
Yes.
And they pop up in a whole other book.
Yes. 10 years later. What are you doing? I think that was the Raven. Why is the Raven back here? That's a whole other book.
It kind of showcases, and what I like is it showcases how crazy the writer's mind is. Because I like I was just saying, I feel like everybody thinks that you write the story and that's it. And I get all these people that ask me all these questions. I'm like, oh, Ralph, how do you write? I'm like, well, and they always call me the asshole because I go, you write. In order to write, you write. And they're like, you're saying something tricky, aren't you? I'm like, no, I'm telling you the truth. You got to write. Because if you don't write what you're supposed to write, how do you know what you need to write?
Yes. I asked somebody years ago how they sold so many books. And she said, I write a lot of books. That was it. but I understood what she was saying.
Yeah. And I completely understand, because I got so much writing that I'm doing and I'm still doing, and everybody goes, "Why haven't you published anything, Ralph?" I'm like, well, that takes away from my writing time.
It does. It takes, if I could really sit down and do it, 6 months to write a book,
Right.
and another year to publish and market,
Yep.
and all of that fun stuff. And I just want to write.
And it does. It completely takes away. I can see why people like to join other people or
Mm-hmm.
other organizations, because that other stuff is taken care of for you if you join the right one. They'll publish your book. They'll advertise your book. They'll do all that stuff that we as independents have to do by ourselves.
Right.
And one book can take you 2 or 3 years to like get to the end point of that book, and that's
Right.
not even the complete end point, because the book keeps being sold. So you're constantly selling that book.
Yeah. And you're trying to be on something else. But except when it comes back to haunt you 10 years later, because I recently, somebody was asking about the first book I wrote, and all of a sudden my brain said, oh my gosh, I should have wrote this. I could write a sequel.
Yeah. And there's constantly something else coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's why, like, recently I started to work on something that I can publish, because everybody's like, wow, you should publish something. You should put. I'm like, okay, look, what I'll do is I'll take all the story bits together, because we do a lot of challenges, on the written writ, where people challenge me to write this and write that. And I'll take all those written writ bits and put them all together into one book. And then, I'll put that out there. That way you guys can enjoy that. And then I'll take some of my poetry, which is just sitting there, and I'll put that into a book. I'll figure out what poems go with what, and I'll put that out there. And then you can have those 2 books and leave me alone.
Yeah. Anthologies are great.
Exactly. And that's the other thing. Right now, it looks like there's a couple of anthologies coming soon, and people are like, hey, Ralph, why don't you try it out? I'm like, okay, fine, I'll put it in there. If it gets in there, hey. If it doesn't, I don't care.
I have a few short stories, which is difficult for me because I'm wordy, that I wrote for Halloween anthologies. And they made it to the end, except I was told to change the point of view, and I refused to do it. So I figure when I get a few more, maybe I'll do my own.
It's so funny, because there's times, and I know you probably gone through this, where somebody will sit there and tell you, okay, I like this, but I feel like it's written wrong, or I like this, but I think you're using the wrong voice. And I'm like, wait a minute, but it's my story.
Exactly.
This is the voice of the story came into my head.
Yeah, and I've tried. Sometimes I'll try writing the first chapter in a different point of view, and whichever one makes the most sense is the one I write it in. I just didn't realize that there were people who only read in certain point of views, but you can't please them all.
I found that out recently, because I had shared something with a friend of mine to see what they thought about it, and they were like, well, Ralph, I don't usually like stories in the first person present point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, what? Yeah, I usually like first person past point of view. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. And I'm a third person point of view.
I can go from one to the other. So,
yeah.
I'm like, okay. Shadow, are you staying in the shadows on purpose over there?
I'm not sure. Is this working?
We barely see you. It's like you.
I see you in the backyard. You can come get closer to my house if you need the Wi-Fi.
I was just on a cane from the radio, so I'm driving home in the car. So.
Oh, okay. Really, now we can
paying attention to anything. I just have y'all on my headset. Anyway, go to GOASI Con and support us. I'm going to cut out anytime, but love y'all.
We love you, Lou.
Sorry for interrupting. Just wanted to say hey.
You were saying, Tania?
Oh, you weren't the one who added you in. I know.